Hey folks, it's another talking race walking shoe review. And what do I got for you this time? It's a new shoe out. It's a model of shoe that I have used the last few years. When I started race walking, I looked around for a shoe and I came across the Saucony Kinvara. Not going way back, okay? I never wore it as a running shoe, but I have used it as a race walking shoe and really liked it. I have used the Kinvara version 12, 13, 14, and 15. So this is a review of the recently released Kinvara 15. So there it is. Okay. I like bright colors, so I got the bright yellow one. It comes in a few options. So let's quickly go through kind of aspects of this Kinvara 15. So we're looking at a 4 millimeter drop. So it is one of the lower drop shoes out there in terms of, you've got brands like Ultra, Topo, a couple others where it's 0 drop. And what that means is the difference from heel height to height at the sort of the toe. So it's that difference. So a 0 drop is basically a flat shoe. This one is 4 millimeters, which is fairly still uncommon. It's not the uncommon shoes out there for drop in terms of are really actually somewhere between 0 and probably 8 to 10, which is in that ballpark of most running shoes out there. So 8 to 10 millimeters of drop from heel to toe. This is 4, which is fairly unusual. There's not many that have just 4. They tend to either flat or they tend to be a running shoe that usually has somewhere between 8 to 10. So it's kind of it's an interesting shoe to find. It's a lightweight training shoe, and for some it might be a racing shoe. So Saucony Kinvara 15. So let's look at it. Fairly basic midsole, kind of PVA run, or it's an EVA foam. It is not super soft, and it's not firm. It's right in the middle there in terms of a medium density foam. I quite like. It's probably closer to the softer side than it is the firmer. It's not that thick in terms of stack height. I had the stats right here, and I'll read them out to you. So Saucony Kinvara, 4 millimeter drop, 29 millimeters to 25 millimeters. So that stack height at 25 is also not really big. It's not chunky heel. It's not a chunky midsole towards the back. A lot of the shoes now are coming out like 30, 34, 35. Really thick, chunky heel in terms of a running shoe. This one in terms of weight, 7 ounces, 200 grams. So it is a relatively light training shoe. And you kind of have a bit of a rocker here on this guy. So we'll go through. So the midsole, once again, kind of EVA. The outsole, which is the bottom, is mainly just the EVA and a few kind of rubber touch points, sort of like heel contact and toe off. And decent amount of grip, not crazy, not smooth. At the heel, once again, I said sort of medium stack height. It's not flat, but there isn't a huge drop from heel to toe. Well cushioned heel in terms of the heel cup. Good amount of cushioning. Nice soft sort of spot around the Achilles. The tongue is somewhere between really padded and thin, so it's kind of in between, but comfortable, soft, not attached. So it's attached, but not right at the top here. So it's not like a sock sleeve fit. So it does move. The laces are kind of more the traditional lace. They seem to work just fine. The upper itself, it's not kind of like that super knit soft upper, but somewhere in between. Well vented, fairly comfortable, flexible upper, very breathable, no problems with it. In terms of room inside, seems to be fairly roomy. Last year's Kinvara, or I think the 13, I'm not sure about the 14 actually, I have to double check that. But the Kinvara 13 had a regular and a wide. I haven't found a wide version of this yet. The shoe tends to fit true to size. It tends to fit not narrow, somewhere in between. I don't have a wide foot, so I don't have an issue with this, but it would be nice to have a bit of a wider option. So it fits true to form, decent amount of room inside, not overly deep at the heel, but not bad. If you have an orthotic, it would be an option. Take out that sock liner it comes with, pop in an orthotic, see if it fits. It should be a fairly flat shoe. There is a little bit, as you can see here, it's not perfectly sort of straight along the medial side. So it does come in a little bit, and on the medial side, it does rise up a little bit. So it's not what you would call like the arch support, but there is something there. So for anybody with an orthotic, you want to make sure that orthotic sits there. It is sort of cocked up a little bit by that spot around the medial part, the arch of the foot. But I find it quite comfortable. It doesn't touch my arch. It doesn't affect my foot. I find it quite comfortable. I find it actually a nice, comfortable fit, sort of snug around my foot without being tight. Laces up well, not excessive lace, but a good amount. When race walking, I actually like to tuck mine in so they don't flap around. So there we go. That is the Kinvara 15. Fairly, it's got a good flex to it. There is no extra plastic in here to reinforce it, so it's really just that uniform sort of EVA midsole foam. So once again, fairly flexible laterally, flexes quite well that way, but doesn't feel overly soft when you're sort of race walking or running in it. You hit and you don't get that like mushy marshmallow feel. And I love sort of the transition from heel to toe. Really nice, feels light. And I guess the downside to this would be the fact that it probably wears out a little faster than, say, a really thicker or denser midsole shoe for, putting in lots of miles, or one that has a thicker midsole. I tend to get out quite a few miles on this, or kilometers, for race walking, less pounding than running. Running, I would probably pound through this fairly quickly. Race walking, I can get quite a few miles out of, and then I actually use it as just a walking shoe to get when I do, some easy miles, just casual walking. Works really well. But when it's done, it's done. You can almost feel like you've compressed the midsole and you're close to the ground. But I still really like the shoe. So that's it, Kinvara 15. So lightweight trainer, could be a race shoe for some people as well. Decent amount of rocker. Nice heels transition from heel to toe. Low drop in terms of 4 millimeter from heel to toe. Quite flexible, comfortable. And what I want to talk about then, of course, is if you've had the Saucony Kinvara 14, did you like it? I hated it. But there's been varying sort of opinions on that. But it seems more split, and definitely more people disliking the 14. It sort of varied a little bit from the previous models. The 14 was about the same weight, but the stack height was increased. So instead of like 29, it went to like 31. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but it really, really felt a little more in the heel, and the foam felt firmer. I didn't get that nice transition from heel to toe as much. It was a little firmer at contact. The upper on the Saucony Kinvara 14 was much rougher and not as flexible and comfortable. I really didn't like the fit. The heel cup was thinner material. It rubbed my heel. I was really disappointed. I didn't even wear them for running or race walk. I just used it as a casual shoe, and even then, I don't even think I got miles out of it. Really disliked it. The Kinvara 15 has kind of gone back to its roots, kind of closer to the 13. Okay, actually looks fairly similar. Very slight changes. The 13 was a little bit heavier, 7.2 ounces, 204 grams, but with the same drop. So for the 15, it's actually somewhere between the 13 and 14 in terms of height. The 13 was about 28 and a half. The 15 is 29 in terms of heel height. Basically the same midsole and outsole almost. I think the midsole in the 15 has got a little more cushion, just a little more to it, just a little bit. And I find there's a little more rocker in the 15 at the toe here. So I think for the Kinvara 15, if you liked the 12 and the 13, I think you're going to like the 15. I actually even like it a little bit better. It's a nice shoe. It's a nice shoe. It hasn't changed that much. They've kind of gone back to your roots. If you really like the 14, the Kinvara 14, then you might find the 15 a bit of a shift. It might be a bit softer and feel different. So depends how you like it. I really like it as a race walking shoe. It's light. I really feel the ground. Nice heel to toe transition. Light enough to do intervals in, as well as get some miles in. So there you go. I like it. Now, disclaimer is I always do at the end of a shoe review. I said I like this one. I've given you the stats on it, but go out and try it if you can. Every shoe is designed for something different, and it's built on a different last. It will have different characteristics. It will fit differently. And then every person has a different foot in terms of width and length, where your ankle bone is. Does your foot pronate? Is it neutral foot? Is it over pronating foot? Is it a wider foot? Is it a square foot? How are things going to feel? And then you've got lighter and heavier walkers as well. That will impact on terms of how the shoe feels, how fast it pounds out when you're training. And then your style of race walking, that type of thing as well, can affect how the shoe feels or how it helps you race walk. So my advice is do some research, take this review, find a running shop if you can, get them to fit you, make sure they check the width and length, walk around in it, if you can, in the store or outside, if you can kind of do a little bit of a quick race walk to see how it feels, and then go from there. It's always a little bit of trial and error, but I hope this information helps you out and helps you choose that race walking shoe for your training. All right, take care, keep walking.